Good morning, wrestling fans. It's 3/16. So happy Stone Cold Steve Austin Day, everyone. One of the biggest holidays of the year today. So hopefully everyone will be cracking open a couple Steve Weisers in honor of Stone Cold today. And I always try to do a special episode of one of the podcasts for this special holiday, 3/16 Stone Cold Day. So we are celebrating here on Good Morning Wrestling Fans on this Saturday, 3/16/2024. And yes, we are celebrating Stone Cold Steve Austin today, but there is one other thing we gotta talk about tonight, because Saturday night's all right for fighting. AEW Saturday Collision tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern on TNT. Just a quick note though, have to remember next Saturday though there will be no Collision due to the March Madness college basketball stuff airing on TNT. So Collision is back live this week, but will not be airing next Saturday, unfortunately, due to some silly college basketball. And Collision tonight will be live from the Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, which we will see the American Dragon Bryan Danielson, representing the Blackpool Combat Club, take on Katsuyori Shibata, which I'm sure that'll be a very good match. That is one I am definitely looking forward to. I love how Danielson has been having all these great matches with these Japanese stars, and I'm sure he loves it too, to be honest. I'm sure his time in AEW, he probably has faced a lot of guys that I'd say probably were on his bucket list that he would want to work with. Also, Kyle O'Reilly will have his first match since returning to AEW, taking on bounty hunter Brian Keith, which I think that would be a pretty good match too. In case you missed it, bounty hunter Brian Keith is on the newest episode of AEW Unrestricted, the podcast with Aubrey Edwards and Will Washington. So I recommend that if you haven't listened to that episode yet. Also, the AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament gets started tonight, honoring the House of Black. Buddy Matthews and Brody King taking on the Infantry. And Julia Hart will be defending, also honoring the House of Black, will be defending the AEW TBS Championship against Trish Adora in an open house match. And that is what we have in store for tonight's AEW Saturday Collision. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming, I guess you could say, and wanted to talk about 3/16 Day, of course. Stone Cold Steve Austin, a legend in the business. I definitely my whole outfit is matching today. I even got my Austin 316 beanie on, got a 316 shirt, and even got my old Stone Cold sweatpants on that I got from WWEshop.com. So I am definitely all ready for today. Hopefully I will not be the only one celebrating this holiday today. Hopefully everyone listening to this podcast right now will be today as well. Which actually I thought of something, speaking of the great Stone Cold, and that was I haven't heard or seen anything announced just yet about a second season of Stone Cold Takes on America, which was, I guess you could call it maybe, I don't know if you could call it a reality show or what, but aired on A&E as a part of the Superstar Sunday, which I thought it was actually a pretty good show. I wouldn't say every episode was great, but there were definitely some where he did some of the challenges and things that I thought were actually pretty good. And I do hope there is another season of it. Maybe when they bring back WWE's Most Wanted Treasures, they might air it with that, because I want to say that's what it was on after the first time it was on. Not sure, but definitely Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you remember a couple years or so ago, WrestleMania in Texas, he came out of retirement for one match, taking on Kevin Owens, and you knew going into it that it wasn't going to be a 5-star pure pro wrestling match. It was a street fight. They brawled and fought all over, which is what you would expect from Stone Cold. And he looked like he didn't really miss a step at all. He looked great against Kevin Owens. I remember the suplex spot on the floor when they were brawling through the crowd, and just a great match. I thought, in my opinion anyway. And definitely remember, I was just looking at, I believe it was High Spots, had a Funko Pop signed by him. And the package of the Funko Pop, it calls it an ice machine, but it's supposed to be the Zamboni when he drove that to the ring, which unfortunately I was not able to attend that episode of Raw, but it was here in Detroit at Joe Louis Arena. And of course, you can't forget the beer truck. That is definitely one of the most famous Stone Cold moments right there. Maybe one of the most famous moments in WWE/WWF history. And then there was Bang 316, of course. Of course, you can't talk about Stone Cold really without bringing up the Austin versus McMahon feud. And also, to go back even farther, I know this is mainly a Stone Cold holiday, but to go back further, I remember in WCW, when I was growing up, the Hollywood Bloods. I wouldn't say I was a fan of him when he was on his own, when he was a singles wrestler. But I remember when they put him, Stunning Steve Austin, and Brian Pillman together. I want to say that was actually one of the first times that when I was a kid, I actually started to like and root for heels at the time, because I was still in my kayfabe stage at the time. I was still young, so I did what a good pro wrestling fan is supposed to do. You boo the heels, you cheer the baby faces. But when they put them together as the Hollywood Blondes, I actually liked them, even though I probably wasn't supposed to at the time because they were the heels. But if you notice, there were actually some people, I'm going to say everybody, cheering them in the audience. At the time, they were managed by Colonel Robert Parker. And I am close to here at work now, so unfortunately I have to wrap up the podcast. I could definitely spend a lot more time talking about the great Stone Cold Steve Austin, but unfortunately I have to wrap up this episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Don't forget AEW Collision tonight, and share in the comment section your favorite Stone Cold matches, your favorite memories of Stone Cold Steve Austin, all in the comment section, either right here on Spreaker, YouTube, or wherever you listen to 360 Wrestling Podcast app. And that's all for today. We'll be back tomorrow for the Sunday morning episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. I hope everyone has a great pro wrestling day, and you better have a great 316 and a happy Stone Cold day, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.